Did you know that dance can carry women through diagnosis, treatment, and life after cancer? Well, that's what Cookie Jo says. She shares how her ballet became her prayer and her purpose. She also shows how it became a way to support other women facing breast cancer who are going through the rows. Her story proves that creativity and faith over fear can move a whole community toward early detection and hope. We'd love it if you'd share this episode with your family and friends, and if you can, consider making a donation to the Rose. You'll help us serve more women. Let's talk about your breast. A different kind of podcast presented to you by The Rose, a breast center of excellence and a Texas treasure. You're going to hear frank discussions about tough topics, and you're going to learn why knowing about your breast could save your life. Cookie, dancing has been a part of your life forever.
Forever. I started when I was 22 months old.
How did you start dancing at 22 months old?
My mom came from Mississippi, and she was so afraid we were going to be Hicks that she decided taking ballet would be a great way to avoid that. So she was born in Crystal Springs, Mississippi. She just passed away this past year. But I told her, the last words out of my mouth to her was, "Thank you for the dance lessons."
Oh, how
But no, it's been a part of my life. It is. I know it's important not to be identified by what you do, but it is so much a part of who I am. And, as far as it's the way I earn my living, it's the way I express myself, it's the way I praise God, it's the way I inspire other people, and it's how I got through breast cancer. So it has been a very important part of my life.
And your school, your dancing school, is right now in October promoting an event, a fundraiser for us, and it was very
so
unique. Yeah,
I really wanted to do something. I was very blessed to be at the age I am. It cost me very little to go through cancer. So when you're going through all of the other parts of the journey, having to worry about the financial part, it shouldn't even be happening. And so I wanted to do something, and I've been cancer-free for 3 years, and I wanted to do something this October that was visual and big on social media. So we created a giant banner, with the black and white ribbon, and I'm letting my kids pay for stickers and making it turn pink. And we're opening it up to the community to make sure they know that they can reach out to us, on social media and through a live email address and stuff like that to get back to us to donate money. And we are just creating a beautiful banner full of pink butterflies and pink ribbons.
Thank you so much for that. And I love that you're using butterflies.
That was I didn't even realize how. That must how we all feel. You're going through that feeling of being in a cocoon and going through the chrysalis while you're in treatment, and when they tell you you're cancer-free, to almost feel like you're, resurging. That's how I felt. I didn't realize that was a real thing. So apparently that's a very common feeling that most of us feel, because the butterfly just started happening, and it became our emblem for it, and I didn't realize it was actually a lot of people's emblem for it.
For exactly the same reason that you spoke of. I mean, it is a very transformational time in a person's life. I want to stay on the school for just a minute. Now, you are the owner.
Yes, I've been the founder and, chief bottle water, toilet cleaner, floor mopper, everything, yes.
And it's 50 years old
50 years old this year.
Yes.
50 years old this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My goodness. And what kind of school?
We're a performing arts school. We teach classical ballet, we teach theatrical jazz, hip-hop, tap, everything that you would use if you were going into theater, either a professional career in dance. Classical ballet and the ballet companies. I have a lot of kids that have gone on to study at the Houston Ballet. I've got a lot of kids that have gone on to the Theater of the Stars or ended up in New York. My background was musical theater. I wanted to be on Broadway. So my thing, I did not make it to Broadway, but I did get to tour with Broadway musicals, and that was a great experience for me. But I studied in New York for a long time. But I realized that I wanted to teach. And so I got to come back to Houston and open my school.
And it is open to what ages?
Officially we start at 2, but I have been known to take some younger ones because sometimes the little sister can't wait to get in. So if they'll come in and not disrupt the class, they can start. So we've had some 18-month-olds start.
Oh, my gosh.
They're precious. It's my favorite. And they dance. I mean, we are not crawling around. We are standing up, arms out, first position, arabesque, the whole thing. And they're learning all the terminology in French and how to say it. They don't know it's French, but, it's perfect.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
children these days, they just want to feel big. And so you give them big things to do, they will act big.
Wow. Now that is a statement. I've never heard anyone describe it that way, but it is true.
Well, that thing about you aim for the sun, you'll probably, maybe hit the clouds. You aim for the moon, you may hit some stars, but just aim high. And that's what we do.
You have a special place in your heart for children who might not have this opportunity.
Absolutely.
So tell us about that.
I teach a lot of children who are have disabilities, either intellectual or physical. I also spent a lot of years teaching the homeless, and I have taught a lot of children who just maybe at community centers who would never ever have an opportunity to take professional classes. Right. But it seems to me that dance is such an important part of. It can feed your soul. I mean, it can help you with expression. It can help you relieve stress. It definitely helps with cognitive thought and memorization and structure and all the things that we need to do. If you think about how much of the brain is used in dance, we have to count music. We have to memorize steps and sequences. We've got to not kick the person next to us. We got to know which way to face, and we got to smile while we're doing it and make it look easy.
Oh, that is so
you
true.
Use an awful lot of your brain. In fact, I teach adults also, and I keep telling them we're not going to make it to Broadway, but we might stay out of the nursing home. So that's my sell-up pitch to get people to come to adult dance.
Oh, that is wonderful. I had never, ever thought about dance encompassing so much.
It is. It is an incredible. I'm betting on. My mother passed away with dementia, and I'm betting on not getting dementia because I still have to tap dance and still count music while I'm moving and memorizing steps. I mean, you do so many things at one time whenever you're dancing.
Oh, yes. And does it move you into a different plane spiritually?
Absolutely. The way I worship is through dance. My ballet company is called Ballet Grace, and we're the resident ballet company to Sugar Land Baptist Church, and we're part of the worship team. And it's the music. In other words, a lot of times people get the word and get the message through hearing music. Well, if you see visual interpretation of that same music, you not only are experiencing it through your ears and your heart, but also through your eyes. So you're using another sense. And when you get more sensory interpretation, you get it. The message goes in even more. And what I love is that I use praise music in my school. So these little girls from 2 years old all the way up, and boys, are hearing the word subliminally through music over and over and again. And I believe it's a really important part of feeding their soul.
Do you think it's a part of meditation?
I do. I think that I remember whenever I went back to class after my treatment, I had to take a year off completely. And when I went back, it was like rainbows and angel wings. I mean, I could just feel myself being lifted back to feeling no longer like a patient. That was the main thing. You feel like a patient for so long. That was the first time I went, I'm not a patient anymore. And that was I felt set free.
Wow. So now you've told us something about it, but tell us about your breast cancer experience.
It's interesting. I believe very much that I was blessed, that God blessed me with this experience. I've said before is that if he said, we're going to do a do-over, I'll take it away, it never happened, I'll say no thanks. I learned so much. I grew so much. I got so much stronger. What it did for me, nothing can mess with me now because I beat breast cancer. People come in and go, oh my goodness, my car broke down, and in my mind I go, but it's not cancer. And I was diagnosed during COVID, so I was alone. And
I wondered if you had to do that journey. I couldn't tell by the dates, but I thought
it was. Yeah, you hear the words, you have cancer, and there's nobody there, and and it was, and you had to find call somebody quick because you just you don't know, and you sit in the car just stunned. And I had very, very good habits. I had my mammogram every year, and they had always come back clean. And I'm an athlete, so I thought a pulled muscle in my chest that felt like the size of an almond. And I go, that's an interesting way to pull a muscle. And finally, after 6 or 8 months, I finally go, maybe I should have this looked at. And that's when they told me that I needed a diagnostic mammogram. And then after that, it was like that. Within 3 days, I was very blessed. One of the moms at my school worked at MD Anderson, and she got me through the COVID testing and in front of a surgeon within like 72 hours, which is unheard of.
Yes.
During that time, plus with MD Anderson.
Yes.
And I was fortunate that I was in. I had stage 2 triple negative cancer with a 9-centimeter tumor. And they said it was very aggressive and very fast growing and that it needed to be dealt with. And I went through all the chemo and, going bald and all of the things that you go through and the radiation. But one of the things that happened was all those little girls at my school and their mothers watched me go through it. And I also was very public about it. So on Facebook, I was there. So all my former female students, started getting mammograms. 5 of them came back with tumors. So 5 of my little girls that had grown up to be moms went out and got mammograms because of Miss Cookie. I had a blood drive for MD Anderson that over 120 people showed up. And some of my former students who had never given blood before donated blood to MD Anderson so that we could have blood. One of my things that I did too is I said, when I turn 70, I'm going to do 100 cartwheels to raise money for MD Anderson. And I did 120 cartwheels and we raised $5,000 for MD Anderson.
Wow.
For the oncology blood cancer, blood work. So that it was just everything about it was along the way is I took it as a challenge. And my mantra was faith over fear. Get up, dress up, put on your makeup, and show up. That was it constantly. Always, my little beanie always had to match my outfit. I always dressed up to go to my treatments. I just wanted to make sure. And I always sat by somebody who looked forlorn. And I always sat there. And first thing I said to them was, we have the same hairdresser. And they would laugh. And as soon as they laughed, they would start talking. And I would do that day after day. And so I would always make sure that I would want to find somebody that might, that I could cheer up. But I had a very blessed experience. The first thing that happened was the mammograms. They told me there was no way I could get all 10 years of them. And because, in time to go to my first appointment. And I went by the office with my letter from my doctor. And as I left, they called me at my cell phone and they said, we don't know what happened, but all 10 of your screens are here. And so that was one. And then, just along the way, it just was, everything kept happening I just ended up having blessings all along the way. One of the things, too, is that my relationships, everybody around me that supported me, my husband and my mom and my staff, we have a whole different relationship now. I have a group of women during that time. During COVID, we had moms volunteer at the school because we had the school was basically closed. Well, they found out that I needed help going to chemo. They signed up on the Sign Up Genius. And I said, just drop me off. They sat with me 4, 5, 6 hours, would not leave me until my husband could pick me up. And it was just, just all of the things that happened to make it, just the community and the love and all the support that you get. I was very, very blessed.
Oh, it sounds like you were doing a lot of blessing of your own for others. So.
I just felt it was purposeful. As soon as the first thing I said was, God gave this to me for a reason. How can I use this? And it was the important thing was what I love is these little 2-year-olds would come up and their moms would say, she says prayers for you every night. Oh. And so then to see that Miss Cookie, they prayed for Miss Cookie's health and then Miss Cookie's back with a smile. A 2-year-old now goes, when I pray to God, he answers my prayers. Yeah. And so to instill in a child that age that prayer works, I think that's worth it right there.
Oh, absolutely.
And and to have that feeling and that and every one of my kids is wearing a pink ribbon this month. I mean, it's just so precious because they're so engaged and so invested in it. And to get these moms to understand that, when I started this journey, they kept telling me 1 in 8 women. Now they're saying 1 in 6 women. By the time these little girls grow up, it could be 1 in 4 women.
It could be.
And so you look at a class of 8 kids, 2 of those kids are going to have breast cancer. And those mothers need to realize that number one, we can start now helping try to find a cure, helping other women that are going through it, and also making sure that we take care of ourselves and make sure that our children are taken care of. And so it's a very long legacy of what can we do to use this one diagnosis to keep perpetuating it so that I'm able to reach out to all these children to make sure that as they become women, that they're aware of it.
And you, I know you know this, but 15, 20 years ago, we couldn't even talk about it out loud.
That's right.
Yes. What an amazing jump, a leap in understanding and awareness. And
I am so proud of whoever was behind the fact. I mean, the movement to support women going through this and the pink, what I call the Pink Project, it's unbelievable. It's a marketing miracle that
It is.
it has
It
taken
actually did something very, very important.
And, when you go through Sugar Land, the monument signs that say First Colony, they're lit in pink.
Oh.
I mean, and I feel this warmth of just, such
Yeah.
a powerful, just love that the community, is so supportive of us that we get that kind of support.
So, Cookie, go back a minute. Did you actually go to the studio while you were in treatment?
Yes. Now, I wasn't supposed to.
I wondered because
I wasn't supposed to.
I was thinking,
Well, actually, I'm very good friends with Jennifer Summers, who is head of the Houston Ballet Academies, and she had just gone through the journey. And so I was very fortunate to connect with her so that I was following her. And she said, you can't teach. You can't. It's not fair to go, be sick, leave. And, as a teacher, you just want to be, consistency is important. So I took a year off, which was really hard because that meant 27 classes had to be either canceled or moved in some way. So that was, because I teach full time. And, but I couldn't stand it. And so I would go and even though I wasn't supposed to be teaching, I would make sure they saw me and stuff like that. But one thing that was really interesting is that they needed a sub one day, and I still had my my
not
little
your drains. Oh my gosh!
And so I had to do it with my drains. But I wore a big shirt. But I was just because it's my school. Yeah. But the other thing too is I did a clinical trial. And it was very difficult. They say that women of color very seldom do clinical trials, and they needed Asian women. And I said, well, you got half one. I go, so all your half Chinese left-handed women, I'm going to be your representative. And it was a very difficult clinical trial, and it didn't work, which was part of the disappointing. Because you hear the words, well, it didn't shrink as much as we had hoped, and it was a very debilitating time. And I felt like I was disfigured. It affected my skin. Of course, you lose all your hair. It wasn't just the baldness, but I mean, I wasn't cute, as for sure. So that was a really difficult time because I'm a very public person and I do a lot of photos and a lot of public speaking. So having to go through a very humbling, less than cute time, but I kept hearing my father's voice saying, "But you're still here." And so every time I get the ego part and the vanity part kind of rears its ugly head, because I used to have a lot of hair. I still don't have a lot of hair. Then I had to hear my dad say, "But you're still here."
Yes.
And so every time I get that pouty
pity party, personal pity
well,
party,
and
or
also,
whatever.
I chose not to get reconstructive surgery because as a dancer, it was actually more. That was more challenging than just let it go. And once in a while, that's that you remember that your clothes don't fit the same and that kind of stuff. And I won't wear support any help because I call them puppies because it just changes my body, my body awareness and stuff. And so I judge myself because dancers, we have a mirror. All we do is stand in front of a mirror and criticize ourselves. Anyway, that's what dancers do, and we're very critical of ourselves. And so to look at your body constantly and see what's different about it, and then I just say, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep celebrating.
Great advice.
I'm still here.
Great message. Yes. I know you've alluded to it several times, but I was most impressed when I saw that you call your school a ministry.
We do. We have a nonprofit. We are a for-profit business which supports our nonprofit. And the reason we do that is I want these kids to know that we're blessed to be healthy, strong, and basically affluent. I mean, it's Sugar Land, that we need to use our talent to benefit others and to support others. And so our mission statement is, number one, to glorify God in everything we do. That's number one. Number two, how can you be a blessing to others? And number three, how do you honor your fathers and mothers? And then we always add grandparents too, because I'm a grandparent. Yes. But it's important that these kids think outside themselves. And if you start very early, how can you serve? Let's create hearts to serve. So I have an incredibly strong technical school, but that's not our mission. I get lots and lots of letters from my kids that have gone to professional careers thanking me. That's not our mission. But are you a person of integrity, character, compassion, grace, love? Do you support your friends? Are you a servant? That's what we teach. And we do that every day. And we just happen to use dance as the conduit to teach it.
But you're also known for that discipline factor.
Yes, I've heard that. Ballet is a very disciplined art.
Well, yeah.
And what I tell my kids, I'm not going to demand that you be excellent, but I'm going to try really hard to encourage you to want to be excellent. And that's what the goal is, to try to teach them to want to be excellent. And that's what the deal is. We teach that goal, not demanding that they're excellent. I love somebody said the day that true leadership is enthusiasm, not control. And I went, ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to steal that.
That's a good one,
So yes, so I am very enthusiastic, and I'm very big on praising. I mean, they know when they do it right. They always know. How do you know that Miss Cookie's really, really proud? And they'll go, she cries. Because Miss Cookie's eyes get real watery whenever I get really proud. I immediately get emotional. But I'm also let them know with a look, I can walk in the room and the room quiets down. And I don't even mean to be that way, because I walk in a room and all of a sudden they get quiet. Like, I had these 2 wrinkles here. I think I know where they came from.
Well, you are a legend. I mean,
Oh, well.
you are.
Well, that's really sweet.
No.
I'm blessed. And, and I think the part of it, too, is I never think I'm done. I keep wanting to be better. And I'm very fortunate that I have a very young staff. Well, they're 40. To me, they're young.
They're young, yes.
But when I got them, they were in their teens. So all my staff has been with me. I've raised them. And so these are these young women, teenagers that used to roll their eyes and sigh at me. Well, now they run the place. But they have been ingrained with the same mission. My business partner, who used to be my student, said to me, I want to continue your vision. And that is her father built us a school in Sugar Land, it supported us. I mean, just when my father passed away, he says, I have 2 daughters now. And so he is he's invested in making sure that his daughter and I are successful. And so during COVID, whenever he was the landlord, Tran and I taught for free. So we were one of the few dance schools that were able to keep going during the time whenever, because that's a lot of time to not be able to have any income.
That's true.
So we were very fortunate.
Talk a little bit more about what you said earlier. This helped you get through your breast cancer.
I think having a goal.
Yeah.
I think having a goal. I had my hips replaced 12 years ago, both of them, and I literally had to learn to walk again. So I'd already experienced rebuilding. I already knew what it would take. And one thing about me is they told me before, because they knew me, you can't lift your arm above your shoulder or behind your shoulder for 6 weeks, whatever, however long. They said when I came out of, but you can lift it and go this way, but you can't go any further. They said as I came out of recovery, I was already moving my arm. So apparently I was ready.
You were ready, yes.
I started rehabbing and PT as soon as I could. And I also, when I went back to dance, just that fluidness and that being able to, and the music and being able to express myself, it makes you stop thinking about the rest of it, all the treatment and stuff like that. And that was a big part of it. I think also seeing those little kids, the hugs. And this was interesting because, that was the 6-foot rule, right? So, there were dots everywhere. People were standing 6 feet apart. I walked into that school, the parents and the kids. Whoosh, nobody stood back. Everybody wanted to hug me. Oh. So, it was just the amount of support and love. They were so glad and so grateful to see me. And, and I'm sure they were scared. Everybody was scared. And, to have that realization that she's going to be okay it was a huge relief. And so the amount of emotional support. That's what I think is the reason why I love what I do so much is really the relationships and the interaction with the children because it's so pure. They're just happy to see you.
So talk to us about your other support system, your husband. How was he during that time?
It was, this is the thing I think is really hard. I think it's much harder for the spouse or the support or the caregiver to watch us go through it than it is to go through it ourselves. And then you start feeling bad for the person that's taking care of you because they're feeling bad. But we're always close. But this was probably a turning point for us. I am really independent, and I'm very strong. I can lift my own heavy stuff. I can, move. I'm really strong, and I'm really just disciplined and independent. Well, I wasn't. I needed a lot of help. And I think giving him the opportunity to really physically take care of me was a huge shift in our relationship. I needed him. He'd hold me when I threw up, and just all the stuff that happens when you're going through it. to be so vulnerable and so fragile, and he needed to, he was there. Yeah. And I think I think it's been an amazing a bonding for us as in a relationship. Mm-hmm. And I think that was part of it. I think that it makes it where nothing gets in the way anymore. There's no pettiness or no, silly drama in our relationship because mm-hmm. we beat cancer. And when we have outside disappointments, we remind ourselves we got through cancer. Mm. So I think it's really been an anchor for us.
Oh yes. That's such an important message for everyone to hear.
I just think that's the most important thing, because I've been very fortunate too. Because I've been so public, mm-hmm. many of my friends or acquaintances will say, my sister got diagnosed, can I give her your number? My cousin got diagnosed, my mother mm-hmm. got. So I've done a lot of holding hands through the mm-hmm. journey and encouraging and recommendations and stuff, and anything I can do to help people, and women go through it. And the most important thing is, this is not over. Mm. If you're going to get cancer, get breast cancer and do it in Houston. Mm-hmm. That is mm-hmm. because the chances of survival are so great now. I think the thing that I have to keep reminding myself is I don't like it when I hear someone say they've gone through it 3 or 4 times, because I always think this is a one and done thing, mm-hmm. and you hope and also you never ever stop having side effects. There's always something, and that's what I have to really remind myself. I'm still here. I'm healthy. Mm-hmm. I have nothing to complain about. I mean, I'm still dancing. I work out every day. I'm dancing every day. And nothing about going through breast cancer is limiting my life today.
Wow.
And that's huge.
That is huge. Yes.
I just have no medical repercussions. I wish my hair would grow. I did the chemo and the radiation. I didn't, because they said I had to stay a couple hours before and after, and my time. I would rather have time than hair at that time. Plus, they said with my kind of cancer, it wasn't a good chance it was going to work anyway. Wow. So, but my big thing is I lost the neuropathy in your toes. Mm-hmm. I'm a dancer, so that's mm-hmm. always there. And then my toenails keep falling off. Oh. So from the radiation, they said, and mm-hmm. so it's important to have toenails when you dance. But I just worked through it, and I just it is what it is. And one of the things, too, is, I'm going to be 72 this next month, mm-hmm. and not that many 72-years are still dancing like I dance. Good. And so I need to get over myself and really be going, right. as my mm-hmm. doctor says, those other 70-year-olds are really mad about how you're not being able to, work on your feet and stuff. So I realize how blessed I am, and I'm grateful. And that's mm-hmm. the thing is, I'm great. Every day I wake up grateful that I woke up another day.
Right. So as you're doing your counseling with newly diagnosed people, do you often hear women who feel like they brought this on themselves?
I don't think
guilty about doing something? No,
guilty about not doing self-exams and guilty about letting their mammograms slack off. I mean, that's because moms get busy. Mm-hmm. They put themselves at the end of the priority line. Or it's denial, like me, just denial. It's not really something. Yeah. And I was not sick. I mean, in other words,
that is the irony of breast cancer.
Not sick.
You look healthy, you feel healthy, but something shows up. Yeah.
And that's the thing, because I literally said, "What if I do nothing?" Because all the stuff to do was going to make me sick, right? Mm-hmm. The treatment makes you sick, and so I feel so great right now. Maybe let's do nothing, and they're like, "That's not an option." And I'm so fortunate that I, had a strong team, I had a very positive team. One of the things that was very important to me and I think this is something that people need to be, whenever the doctor says, is there anything you'd like to ask? Yes, will you pray with me? Ooh. All of my doctors, every time somebody's going to cut me open and they say, any other questions, will you pray with me? And one of my doctors stopped everything and had all of the team come around and pray with me.
Oh, that's so heartwarming.
It was, and I think that's the thing. I had one of those little heart crosses that you hold in your hand I had it in my hand before they cut me open, and when I woke up, it was still there. And I took it with me every chemo, and it was so funny. I left it one time when I came back. It was in an envelope with my name on it because they knew it was mine. And I think that was a really, really part that I made it very public. You guys are doing the work. God's doing the healing. And so you guys get on board with God doing the healing, we're going to be fine. And I think that was a lot of it. I think I set the tone. God set the tone and gave me the courage.
No, you set the tone
of what I
definitely.
expected.
Yes.
And I think attitude is everything. I knew I was going to get well. I had no fear. I was faith over fear. I knew I was going to get well. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I did not know what the journey was going to be like. This is what I tell people now. I got to be honest. I did not suffer. I was highly inconvenienced, and I was very uncomfortable. But I cannot say that I suffered. A lot of people suffer.
True.
I wasn't one of them, and and I don't know. And of course, a lot of people go, Cookie, you suffered. Well, at the time, maybe it seemed like suffering. But looking back now, all I can say is that I can't stand here or sit here today or dance like I dance today and think of what I went through was what some people go through,
Right.
And I feel like that I was just really, really blessed.
Well, my goodness, you have so many messages here. We really appreciate what you're doing for the Rose. And, the funding is amazing, but I think that awareness that you're helping the community to know there's a place they could go no matter what.
Exactly.
I think that is, we can't put a price tag on that. It's so valuable.
I think to tell women, take care of yourselves. Remember, how many women find their own lump?
That's true.
I mean, it is so important that you realize, be aware, and don't be afraid to, just examine yourself.
Right.
And don't be afraid then. Don't put it off. Don't say, because MD Anderson said they saw a hot spot in 2019. And so I got diagnosed in 21. So that's quite a lot of, if it was a fast-growing tumor, who knows? But God's plan is God's plan. And I know that what happened the way it's supposed to. And the medical care I got, because, even I had a mastectomy in December, then 12 months later had the second mastectomy. And because, as my surgeon says, there's beauty in symmetry. When you're a ballet dancer, it can't be. You have to have balance. But the protocol from each surgery was different. So medical technology and improvement and everything changes
so
daily.
Yes.
And so what would have happened in 2019, I may not have had the same result as I had in 2021.
Oh, that is a great way to look at it.
So I feel like that God's plan is God's plan.
Well, I know anyone that's just been diagnosed would love to talk to you.
Well, feel free to give them my number.
All right.
Because that is my mission. That is what God asked me to do. I'm going to survive. You're going to survive, and you're going to survive positively. Now share it. And I think that's what the point is.
Well, we'll do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being
my pleasure,
with us.
and I'm honored to be here.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk About Your Breasts. This podcast is produced by Speak Podcasting and brought to you by The Rose. Visit therose.org to learn more about our organization. Subscribe to our podcast, share episodes with friends, and join the conversation on social media using hashtag Let's Talk About Your Breasts. We welcome your feedback and suggestions. Consider supporting The Rose. Your gift can make the difference to a person in need. And remember, self-care is not selfish. It's essential.